Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, and welcome to the Authors Connection. This is the place where book authors and book lovers connect. And I am your host, Dr. Jacquie Hadnot. I'm an author, a teacher, and I am your talk show host for today. Since we don't have an author in the audience waiting to be interviewed, I thought I would take the time to give you some tips and ask you a question. Here's the question. You ever thought about writing a book? You ever considered what it would mean to your life to write that book, to tell your story, to get everything out in the open that is waiting to be birthed inside of you? Well, if you have, I've got some tips for you today to help you get started. Want to write that book? Grab a piece of pen and paper. Grab a piece of paper and a pen. And let's talk about birthing your dream of becoming an author. Okay? The first thing you got to know is you've got to find a big idea. What is your idea for this book? Is it a love story? Is it a novel? Is it your autobiography? Is it a book of poetry? What is your big idea? So here are the questions I want you to think about. Question number one, what do I want to write about? I've written 39 plus books and teachings and videos and audio series, but it always started with, what do I want to write about? Number two, what do I feel is important to write about? Don't just write about junk unless you're just writing a comedy novel, but let it have some substance. So what do you want to write about? Think about that. Next, who will want to read this story or learn about this subject? Somebody out there wants to learn about what you are going to write about. There's someone out there that wants to read about your subject matter or read about your life story. So, what do you want to write about? Next, how will you be able to carry out your idea effectively? And you want to answer those questions and you want to narrow them down as much as possible because it's important to narrow that idea so that your book is not all over the place. And I'm going to try to get through all of these tips in this 30 minutes, okay? The next one is research your genre. Most important to know, what genre are you working with or working within? And when you think about the genre, is it a love story? Is it a mystery? Is it a horror story? Is it an autobiography? Again, research your genre because you need to know what your genre is so that you can stay specific and true to the genre that you're writing about. I love to write about women's empowerment. So I stay within the confines of women's empowerment because you can write so much about women's empowerment that you'd be surprised. The next one is the tools to help you find your idea. Using some creative writing prompts and some plot generators. You can go out on the internet and you can find those things that will help you to develop that idea within that genre and then find out what people are reading. So when you're finding out, researching the genre, find out what people are reading, find out what they're interested in, and then you can go from there. Next, you're going to create an outline. This is very important because when you're creating this outline, you want to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's very important for what you're doing in this season and writing this book. Create an outline so that that outline works for you and pick a format that works for you. There are different types of outlines. There's the free flowing mind map. There's a rigorous chapter and scene outline, and there's a character based outline. There's not enough time in our 30 minutes to cover everything, but I pray that you will begin to research so you can pick a format that works best for you. And then have a beginning again, a beginning, a middle, and an end. And then consider any conflict points that you might have, because it's very important to stay true to that outline that you're creating. And then if you're writing like a novel or a mystery novel or a love story, get to know your characters. If you're writing a autobiography, you already know you. If you're writing a biography, get to know the characters of the biography for which you're writing. Those are very, very important. Next, start off strong. You always want to know when you're beginning to write that book, start off strong with your first draft. One of the most important things is when you're starting the story, it's no exaggeration to say that your first few pages will make or break your book. So you come in strong and you try to stay as true to it as you possibly can. That's very, very important to start off strong. And then next, it's so important. You have to excuse me because I'm working with two computers here so I can get you all the information. So you want to stay focused on your substance. You know, you've got that plot, whatever you're writing about. You've got the story itself. You've got the theme. You want to be working with all of these elements to bring this story to life. And when you're working with them, make sure that you don't use any fillers or what I call fluff and stuff, because you want to add more words. You want to add more pages to the book. So just make sure your book is on point. Make sure it's tight. Make sure it's right. And you don't have a bunch of repeated things over and over. And I read a book once that it was a lot of repetition. That means they kept saying the same things over and over again. Every sentence must do one of two things: reveal the character or advance the action. Reveal the character, something about the character, or advance the action. It must do that. It must keep moving forward and be conscious of your pacing. Pace your book, pace yourself. Don't rush through it. Don't try to get through it too fast. Don't try to go so fast that you lose your people that are reading it. Don't go so slow that it's just like, oh, I'm sitting there and I'm bored. But pace yourself and use a writing tool to reduce the flowery, fluffy language and stuff. I strive to speak in a language that everyone can understand. And when I do that, I find that I will go back and use my thesaurus or synonyms and find words that people won't have to go to Google to look up. So focus on the substance. Next, write reader first. Very important. You want to write a book that people really enjoy? Well, be sure that you don't rush through the scenes. Be sure that you keep the readers in mind. Give the readers an experience that builds on one level to one level, or one chapter to one chapter. Think about your readers first. What do they want to hear from you? How do they want to hear? Because creating a book that's just about you and all it is going to do is encourage you is not going to help your readers. Think about your readers first. It's very, very important. Think about them first, because that is important to you. Okay, next thing, and I do this one on a regular basis. Set word count goals. When you sit down to write, whether it's pen and paper, whether it's on your computer, I sometimes do them both. So I set word count goals. When I set my word count goals, I figure 500 to 750 words per day. You got a little word count on your computer? Look at that. 1,500 to 2,500 words per week. You met that goal. 6,000 to 10,000 words per month. You're on a roll. You could write that book literally in no time at all. And if you move to practical ways to improve your writing habits, you will find that it becomes easier for you to sit down and write. Next, you want to establish a healthy routine. When you're in that writing process, that healthy routine is vital for you. That healthy routine means that you're going to be able to stay the course of the book and not get discouraged. So here's some questions. When do I have the most free time during the day or during the week? Is Monday your best day? Then get up an hour or two early and write on your Monday. Saturday a great day? No family, no kids, etc., etc. Get up and begin to write on Saturday. Because here's what you can do with that free time on Saturday. You could churn out those 1,500 words in no time at all because you've already had to think about it. You've been motivated to accomplish it. And so now you've got this healthy routine of writing at a set time. Next one, what time of the day do you tend to be most productive? For me, I can be most productive early in the morning. And because I am productive early in the morning, that may be the time that I write because I don't have any clutter, any clamor, anything going on. I don't have the TV on. What I have is a mindset that I want to get through this. So I'm creative. Like for me, producing this television show, I like to get up early in the morning, get myself together, get dressed, get to the studio, and get it done. Because I'm most motivated, I have the most energy, and I feel more vitality. My glasses have so much glare in them, so I'm sorry. But that is what I really, really enjoy doing is getting up and getting into a place where I can write. So now you've got that part. And in your healthy routine, can you space out your writing effectively? Space it out. It's no big hurry to get it done. Space it out. Will I realistically be able to balance my writing goals with other responsibilities? Absolutely. You will be able to balance. Balance is everything for us. Balance means that we can set up a next thing, productive writing space. I have one space where I like to sit at the kitchen table because I've got windows I can look out of if I want to. I've got some music I can play. I could be at the kitchen. I could be in all the little areas where I can get in and out. So set up a productive writing space. And that component is where if kids are coming in and out, you're not going to be interrupted. If the husband or the wife is coming in and out, you're not going to be interrupted. But set up a productive writing space for yourself because it's going to make all of the difference. You want it to be quiet, you want it to be clean, you want it to be free of clutter, and you want that space to be your own. So no one's coming in eating dinner on top of your creative writing space. Okay? Use a writing software. This is here we go. Use a writing in software. I want to go ahead of myself. Okay? Use writing software. There's so many out there that you could use, whatever's comfortable for you. You can find tons of them. There's one called Focus Writer, the Readsy Book Editor. There are several. There's Grammarly for those that want to transcribe their books. Dragon that want to transcribe their books. There's Milanote. There are all kinds of writing softwares you can even use if you're not at that point yet. Just use your Microsoft Word. It has spell check. It has everything that you need. So just start where you can. Don't let the fact that you can't afford the writing software stop you. Start with Microsoft Word and go from there. Format it, do everything you need to do in Microsoft Word, and then you can go on to the editing process and everything else can be done, okay? Next, keep yourself motivated. Oh my goodness, I've heard more authors talking about lack of motivation. When you talk about lack of motivation, you talk about being stagnant in your writing, dreary in your writing, or just plain putting your writing away because you don't feel like it, you don't believe in it, it seems too tedious and too cumbersome, and you just don't feel motivated to write. I tell you, when I'm not motivated to write, I put it away. When I'm not motivated to write, I get away from it, I walk away, I go on about my business. Because the lack of motivation means you're not going to put out some quality. If you have to take your computer and go to the park, do it. Do whatever it takes to get you to a place where you can effectively write and be more motivated in your writing. Make a list of reasons why you want to write a book. Here's what's going to motivate you. I want to write this book to help women. I want to write this book so I can bless some people that are helpless and needy. I want to bless this book to bring deliverance to the people. I want to write this book to bring joy. Find yourself somewhere to write again. Again, go off to the park. I sometimes go and check in a hotel and write because it's a different atmosphere, no husband, nothing around, and I go check in a hotel and I write, and I can write like a mad person. And then reward yourself for every little milestone that you encounter. Next, take your setbacks as they come, but you got to keep pushing. Take those setbacks. Revisit your outline. You know, I started writing this book, A Woman of Worth, Mantle of Authority. Had this wonderful outline, or so I thought. So I started writing the book. I got this outline. I'm really geeked and hyped about this outline because it sounds wonderful to me. I get into the writing process, and here's what I discovered. I was geeked and hyped about the outline, but it wasn't consistent with the message I wanted to convey. So here's what I had to do. I had to go back and revisit the outline. So don't be afraid. Excuse me. I'm so short that sometimes I move around in the chair. Don't be afraid to revisit your outline. Try some writing exercises. Take some breathing exercises. Share some experiences with some friends. Take a short break and go do something else. You know, you've got to do what you have to do to get through the process of writing the book. Next, don't rush the ending. Take your time. Don't rush the ending. Pace yourself. The ending of the book is no easy task because you want to begin the book with that bang, and you want to end the book with that bang bang. So you want to bam, hit the ending of the book, and so don't rush it. If you got to read it, if you got to write it, then read it, then revisit it, do it. Because the fact is that the great ending of your book, you're going to be so exhausted when you get there that, oh my goodness, you say, oh, I am exhausted from this ending of this book because it kept me on the edge of my seat. It kept me wanting more. It kept me going higher. So don't rush your ending. Take your time. Get as much feedback from people that you trust. You can't share your book with everybody. You can't share that baby with everybody because here's why. I had a friend once that she had her book written and she decided to speak some of the contents at a women's conference. And she did. She spoke it at the women's conference. And guess what happened? Someone sitting in the audience took notes. And they took notes so well that when they went and released their book, they used her contents in their book. And so when my friend went to the person's book signing, because she went to support, she's reading the book and she says, wow, that sounds familiar. And that sounds familiar. And that sounds familiar too. And all of a sudden she realized that the contents of this other person's book were the very contents of her book. So now she can't use any of her material for this reason. She did not copyright her material. It was only in the notes and her thoughts. And so that person used her contents and nothing could be said, but she knew, my friend knew, that it was her information that the person was using, and it cut her deeply. So don't put yourself in that position to share too quickly, too much, because people will take your ideas because I'm sure you have great ideas, and they can take all of those ideas and use them for their very, very own. The next one, seek out a quality editor. You know why? Because most of us, we write the way that we speak. I certainly do. So what I do is this. I'll write the book, I'll get a draft of it, and I'll send it to the editor and say, here you go. The editor will go through with a nice red pen or through the PDF that I send her, and she will go through it and make all of those grammatical corrections, those punctuation corrections, etc., and send it back to me so that I can make those adjustments. Because we don't want to put out a product because we're so in a hurry to release our book that we don't want to put out a product that is not quality. So seek out a quality editor. There are plenty of them out there. And then once you get it back from the editor, you make the corrective. This is especially if you're self-publishing. And then you'll find that you don't want to nitpick your book. So I find it very easy for me to release the book into the hands of the editor so that they can do what they need to do to give me a quality product. When you do that, you can come back with the corrections, and then you make the corrections, see if your ideas are consistent and flowing, and you can move forward. It's very important to find yourself a quality editor. And then when they get it, when you finish it and correct it, read through it about 3 times yourself. I read through my books 3 times, and I'm reading for the consistency. I'm reading for all of the things I want to set forth in that book. Next, design a quality book cover. Tons of software out here that you can design book covers. Or you could do this. I hire a graphic designer to design my book covers. Do not, repeat this, do not get your iPhone and take a picture, a selfie, standing in the mirror of yourself. That is not a book cover. That's a selfie in the mirror of yourself. Invest in this book because you want people to buy it. People look at 3 things when they go to buy a book on a bookshelf. First, they look at the cover. Then they go to the back, to that back narrative, and they read that narrative. So you make sure that your narrative on the back is spot on. Next thing, they open up and look at the table of contents. Find some challenging, exciting titles for your chapters. And I love creating challenging and exciting chapters that make people go, what does that mean? What does she mean by that? What does she say with that? So I invest in that book cover, and I invest in that because when you get the cover, you get the back. So I have a graphic designer. His name is Stacy Artist Photography. Write that down. He's in Kansas City, Missouri. This man is phenomenal in creating. He captures the very essence of what I feel when I'm talking about a particular subject matter. And he did one book cover for me. I got to share this with you before time is up. I wrote a book called Satan's Kingdom Agenda. And what he did with this Satan's Kingdom Agenda, I had a whole other concept in my head. I had the horse, from the book of Revelations. I had the horse of the apocalypse. I had the rider on the horse. And he said, that's not what I'm seeing. So he literally went and found a picture of the city of Kansas City. And he took the picture and flipped it upside down, and he made it more of a silhouette. So you could see a city, but it was a city upside down. And when he brought that cover to me, I fell out of the chair on the floor because I could not believe the concept that he came up with for this book, Satan's Kingdom Agenda. It was because his agenda is to turn the world upside down. He saw that. He knew where I was going with this book. And he said, flip. And he flipped that script on me. And boy, he gave me one of the best book covers he's ever designed. That one was amazing. So make sure that you design a quality book cover. The final one, find a publisher or self-publish. Go out to Google. See if there's someone looking for you to submit your book to a publisher. Or self-publish. A lot of people nowadays are self-publishing because it's affordable. So find yourself a way to publish. You can go through, there used to be Create Space, but now it's Amazon. There's several self-publishing companies that you can go through to get your book out there. Don't ever think that you cannot release this book and do it with quality. If you can afford to get a publisher, I encourage you, do it. Some great publishing companies out there. Matter of fact, I know some of them, and they're very good friends of mine. And I'm sure they will take you on, publish your book, coach you, promote your book all the way through. There's McGill Publishing, and he is a phenomenal man of God, and he will help you publish your book. I'm sure that if you contact him and tell him Dr. Jacquie sent you because you need help publishing your book, his book, the last book he wrote was an Amazon bestseller. So I encourage you, find you a book publisher to do what you need to do in this season to get your book, your message out there to the world. It's a great thing when we spend our lives dreaming of writing the most prolific novel, writing our autobiography, writing our memoirs, writing our book of poetry. It's beautiful to have that dream, but it's marvelous when that dream becomes a reality. That's what an author does. You're going to bless the world because when you leave this earth, and we will, our books will live on for generation to generation to generation. All you have to do is believe that you can write the book. Habakkuk 2 and 2 says, write the vision and make it plain. Writing that book makes it plain. I've given you the steps to be in position to write this book. I've given you the steps to go forward in your writing skills. Now, you take what I've given you in these notes and watch this show over and over. You can watch it on this network. You can go out to YouTube and watch it again. But get the steps, get in position to write the book and bless your finances, bless your family, and bless the nations. You never know who is going to read your book and see the beauty of what you've written. When I wrote my first book, I could never imagine that I would be 39 books in and I wrote one book and go, okay, I'm done. I'm good. I wrote the book. I fulfilled the vision. And 39 plus later, I am still writing and I'm still excited about writing because I know that that writing is going to bless somebody. Now, you be blessed of the Lord. And remember, this is the Author's Connection, and we're every week on this channel to encourage you, authors, to encourage you, book lovers, and to inspire the both of you to find a passion in reading and writing. Now, you be blessed, and I will be with you again next week, right here on the Author's Connection, where book authors and book lovers connect. Bye for now.